I came home from a 3-week electrical job in Tulsa, expecting to find my wife in the garden. That was the picture I carried the whole drive back. Late September light going gold around 4 o'clock. Eleanor in a straw hat pulling tomato vines, me hanking twice, her straightening up slowly because of her hip, waving with a dirty glove. That's not what I found. The driveway was empty. The garden looked abandoned, tomatoes still and rotting on the ground, the basil she babied like a third child gone to seed. Eleanor would never let that happen, not for any reason. The house had a smell, not a bad, just wrong, like no one had opened a window in weeks. I found her in the back bedroom, sitting on the edge of the daybed, hands folded, crying without a sound. I'm 68, in 41 years of marriage. I've never seen my wife cry maybe 5 times. I never liked this, silent, hollow, her hands ice cold in a warm house. When I asked her what happened, she just shook her head. I sat with her for an hour, holding her hand, waiting, because I know this woman, and pushing her would only close her tighter. Finally, she in a voice I didn't recognize. I want to go to bed. It was 4 in the afternoon. She walked down the hallway like someone who had been broken down piece by piece. Once she was asleep, I started looking. A bedroom, scaled back by the back door. Wrong room for it. With a notepad underneath in Eleanor's shaky handwriting. A log of weights over 2.5 weeks. First entry, 141. Last entry, 2 days prior, 128. 13 pounds gone from a woman who walked 2 miles a day and could hoist a 50-pound bag alone. My hand steadily, through 36 years of climbing poles in ice storms, started shaking. The fridge was nearly empty, spoiled milk, 3 unopened expired yogurts and a jar of pickles. This from a woman who kept a kitchen the way other people kept a shrine. In the trash, I found a styrofoam container from the diner on Route 9, a name written on the lid in Sharpie, not Eleanor's, my son Daniel's wife of 9 years, the one who volunteered so sweetly to look after Eleanor while I was gone. Family takes care of family. She told me I'd thank her. I went to the garage and pulled up the security cameras. I'd nearly forgotten about 300 of motion clips. I started scrolling through the 3 weeks I've been away. Marisol's blue Honda parked so it blocked the view through the front window, coming and going at odd times, 10 in the night, 6 in the morning, small bags in different bags out. One clip stopped me cold. Our neighbour, Mrs. Hennings, walking up with a covered dish. Marisol blocking the doorway with a tight smile, sending her away confused. The next morning at 6 o'clock, the camera caught Marisol carrying that same dish back out to her car. I'd watched my daughter-in-law systematically cut my wife off from every living soul on the street. I didn't sleep. I went through the mail Eleanor had left in a wooden bowl by the door. Underneath the bills, a bank letter confirming a new authorised signer, and our checking account, Marisol, dated 2 weeks earlier. I didn't bank online. I wrote checks. I balanced a proper register. I had authorised nothing. Next, a letter from my financial advisor confirming a processed withdrawal request from our RRA of $22,000, pending Eleanor's signature, already received. Then a credit union letter, a 40,000 line of credit opened against our home equity. I had to walk to the kitchen twice before I could sit down. At the bottom of the bowl was a folded sheet of yellow legal paper, Eleanor's handwriting, but shaky now, a list of everything she signed over in 3 weeks. The last line was the deed to her house, underneath in tiny letters, I am so sorry. I didn't know how to stop her. I put my head down on the table and cried like a man who had just understood something he didn't want to understand. My wife had been scared alone in our house from someone we welcomed into our family. When I stopped shaking, something colder and steadier took place. I am not a violent man, but sitting there at 3 in the morning, I understood exactly why some men become one. I didn't become one. Instead, I made a list. Our lawyer, Carlton Pewitt. First thing, at 8 o'clock, the bank when it opened. Deputy Reeves, who ran the county's elder fraud unit. I still had her card from a talk she'd given Eleanor, Bridge Group, and hardest of all, figured out what my son knew. At 5, I cooked breakfast, bacon, eggs, toast, grapefruit with sugar, the way Eleanor likes it, and I brought it to her on a tray. She looked at it and started sobbing, real sobs this time. Years of held breath coming loose. She told me she'd stay quiet. Marisol had convinced her I had a bad heart, and the stress of knowing would kill me, and then it would be just the two of them forever. Marisol had shown her photos on her phone, claimed I'd met someone in Tulsa and wasn't coming back. She'd come at night with papers, said it was to protect the house from debt I supposedly run up. None of it was true, and I told her, looking her dead in the eye, until she believed me again. I locked every door, changed the front, wedged in the slider, checked every window. I told her, stay in bed, don't answer the door or the phone, let me handle everything, but write down everything Marisol said and did. We need it. Then I spent the morning figuring out how to download every camera clip onto a thumb drive. At 8, I called Carlton's office. His secretary heard something in my voice and got me in for 10. I called Deputy Reeves and left a message. Then I drove to the bank. Tatum, the bank manager I'd known for 15 years, looked at the authorised signature letter and asked me straight away, had someone been taking advantage of my wife? Family member? Yes. She froze the account, opened a new one in my name only, and pulled 2 hours of transaction history, ATM withdrawals I'd never made, checks to cash, transfers into an account that traced back to Marisol personally, including a 9,000 withdrawal in a single day, conveniently just under the federal reporting threshold that told me this wasn't for her first time doing something like this. Carlton listened to the whole story with his eyes closed, the way he always does. When I finished, he opened them and told me plainly this wasn't a family dispute, it was multiple family, and he needed to know whether I wanted to handle this quietly within the family or wanted her to face the full legal consequences. I thought of my grandchildren, 7 and 4, kept away for 3 weeks over a fabricated stomach bug. I want every consequence the law allows, I told him. Then we do it right, he said. No confrontation, no tipping her off. 48 hours to build an airtight case. Duress, elder abuse, every document nullified. A warrant in hand. Marisol called 4 times that day. We let it go to voicemail. Her sweet voice checking in, worried, loving. Eleanor closed her eyes every time. The next morning, Daniel came back from a hunting trip, off-ride the whole week, and called from the road furiously. 15 voicemails from Marisol claiming Eleanor was having a breakdown and had come home yelling. I told him to come to the house alone without her. He came because he's a man who shows up when his father uses that voice. I walked him through everything, the footage, the bank records, the deeds, the withdrawal letters. He went quiet and physically sick. He had been told Eleanor was depressed and embarrassed, told to stay out of it. He didn't know about the money. He thought $15,000 that appeared in our savings was from a real estate commission Eleanor had earned. It wasn't. I watched my son's face, aged 5 years, in a single conversation, and I knew the way I'd known that face the day he was born, that he had been part of this. I told him what I needed, nothing. From day one, act normal, don't warn her. He agreed. He told what to tell the kids. Tell them Grandma got sick and is getting better, I said, and next week they'll come and make biscuits with her. He hugged me like he was 7 years old again. The rest moved fast once it started. Carlton filed the paperwork. Reeves got the warrant. They picked Marisol up at the real estate office on a Friday afternoon, walked her out in handcuffs in front of every co-worker she had. Daniel filed for divorce that day and was granted emergency custody that night on the strength of the criminal charges alone. The deed was nullified within a week, the RRA was restored within 3, and the bank absorbed every dollar that had left the check account because Tatum fought for us personally with the fraud department. The criminal case took 14 months. Marisol's lawyer argued concern that Eleanor had freely signed everything, that this was a financial matter, not coercion involved. Carlton played the security footage of Mrs. Hennings turned away at the door with her carousel. Then he played the audio Eleanor had secretly recorded in week 2 once she figured out the voice memo app on her phone out of pure fear. Marisol's voice, sweet as ever, telling her she'd make it through the winter alone, that she couldn't even cook anymore, that I'd come home and put her in a home and forget about her, that Marisol was the one who had taken care of her. So signed the paper. Marisol got 6.5 years, will serve at least 4, owes every dollar back with interest, and is barred from coming within 500 feet of Eleanor or the grandkids for the rest of her life. Eleanor didn't bounce back overnight. Nightmares for months. She wouldn't stay alone in the house at first. She saw a counsellor at the county senior centre who specialises in elder abuse every week for the better part of a year. Slowly the weight came back. The next spring, she started gardening again. She's still the strongest person I'd ever known, but she's different now. Quicker to lock a door, a little more careful with people who are a little too generous. Daniel moved in with us for 3 months while the divorce finalised. His old bedroom, the kids in the guest room. Saturday mornings full of cookie flour and noise. He and I rebuilt the back deck together that fall, mostly in silence, and somewhere in the sawdust and the shared work we found our way back to okay. I think about that drive from Tulsa more than I should. 300 metres of country radio and gas station coffee, picturing my wife safe in the dirt amongst the tomatoes, having no idea what I was actually driving towards. And what I learned that year is this: every single thing that happened to Eleanor happened because someone made a choice. Marisol chose to volunteer. She chose to walk in with that first set of papers. She made 100 small choices over 21 days, and every one of them was a door she could have turned back through and didn't. And every good thing that followed was also a choice. Carlton picking up the phone before 9 o'clock in the morning, Tatum deciding to fight the fraud department for two strangers she'd known for 15 years. Mrs. Henning trusting her gut about a carousel that didn't come back the way it should have. Eleanor at 65, terrified, figuring out how to record a voice memo because her instincts told her she needed proof one day. There is no luck anywhere in this story. This is only what people do when no one is watching and what they do the moment someone finally is. If you have parents in their 60s or 70s, even the strong ones, even the ones who insist they're fine, check on them yourself, not through the person who so generously offers to check on them for you. Show up unannounced, call the landline, not the cell. Notice if the handwriting on the grocery list has started to shake. Notice if the garden's gone to seeds. And if you're the one in your 60s and 70s, when someone in your life has started managing who gets to reach you, answering your phone, turning people away at the front door, telling you things about your husband or children that don't sit right in your gut, trust that feeling. Find a way to make one phone call. Find a way to leave one note somewhere or be found. The person who loves you and lives far away wants nothing more than to know you. I get a camera. A $40 camera in the eaves of a garage gave me 3 weeks of proof that put a predator behind bars. You don't need to check in every day. You just need it there. A month after Marisol's sentencing, Eleanor and I were out pulling annuals on a cold grey Monday morning. She straightened up slow and the way she always does, dirty gloves on her hand, and told me that she kept on holding on through all 21 days alone in the house. He's going to come home and he's going to know. I put my trowel down for a minute. I came home. I told her, I always will. I know, she said. I went back to reading, so I did. The light was thin and gold. The tomatoes that survived the frost still red on the vine, and my wife beside me, and we were home.